Hey everybody, Louise Eddington, Cosmic Owl Astrology. Before I head out for my daily walk, I thought I would. It's been kind of stewing in me, and I wasn't going to do it, but I am going to because we all know the world's a little bit much at the moment, and people like me that create content are as human as anybody else. And, I've moaned about it before, but I always like to kind of address it because comments on the internet, if you're going to comment and disagree, at least listen or read fully first. Okay. And don't think you have the right to just kind of just go in and go on and rant at people, especially if you have not listened to them. So Kathy and I did a video a couple of weeks ago, and I called it Holy War. A couple of people said unholy war, and I would agree. But I called it Holy War from their perspective. And I'm not going to go over all the astrology again, but I felt I showed in the astrology that this was a coming together of all three Abrahamic religions in their most extreme form. I did not apportion blame. I did not support the West. I did not support Israel. I do not support Israel. And I did not support Iran. Iran was the attacked country, for sure. Absolutely. And have I long disagreed with the West's attempts to control and dominate and be the policeman of the world? Yes, I have. And have I always been against AIPAC and the Israeli government controlling our government? But it's at its most extreme. So I linked it back to Saturn Neptune conjunctions and the formation dates of all three Abrahamic religions, and I mentioned that all three have end time kind of policies. I didn't say that Iran was using theirs at the moment. I actually do not know. I do know that the previous Ayatollah actually had a fatwa on nuclear weapons. So, I think the West are in the wrong. I don't think we should be in this war. I don't think we should have initiated this war. And I think this is part of the Christian Zionists and the extreme Israeli Zionists, Greater Israel end times prophecy, kind of bringing it into being energetically. So that's my opinion. I was trying not to give my opinion in that video too much, but this is what I got. And I'm just like, please, people. Anyway, I deleted her comment, but not after I'd screenshotted it. So here is the comment. I was going to hide her name, but she's got no followers anyway, and anything on YouTube, so it probably doesn't exist in it anymore. So stop with all the religious BS. This is all coming from Israel and Zion. I know. Using the Middle East spiritual beliefs as a battle of yours is bad and evil, and ours is better. So we have a right to take everything. So yeah, she's right. I think, yeah. But I actually didn't kind of talk about that. So Palestine, obviously, genocide, totally against it. So how weird you are an expert on Middle Eastern religious beliefs. I didn't say that, and culture. Um, I have studied the study of religion. I've actually probably read more of the Quran than most people because I did study of religion in college. Study of religion, that is all religions, okay? And she says, because half the words you use are heaven, afterlife. I don't use those words. This is not my words. Does she mean that Western religion uses that? I would agree. I don't like any organized religion, to be honest. The Bible's full of violence. Of course it is. All the propaganda is always coming from the West. Actually, I don't agree with that one. I think the propaganda is coming from all sides. Okay, I don't think any organized religion should be in control. All right. I would like to do, I'm a John Lennon, imagine there's no religion kind of person. So I get your thing is astrology, but most of your assumptions are coming from an unfair, entitled Western point of view, and it comes across as uncultured. I didn't make assumptions. Maybe because I mentioned Iran's kind of end time vision first. Maybe she didn't listen beyond that point. But if you're going to comment, hear me out. Listen. I study everything. I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm not saying my opinion's always right. But I studied all religions. I understand where Islam is coming from. I understand where Zionism is coming from, and I understand where Christian Zionism is coming from. But I do not agree with them. I do not share those beliefs. Okay? So my comments apparently were quite offensive. Well, in answer to that, I find your comments quite offensive. I find people quite offensive who pick on one little word or something without listening to the whole thing and come in and have a go at me. I'm not hurt. I'm not crying. I just think, just stop it. You know, it's freaking ridiculous, this world. This is why we are in the position we're at. People do not listen to each other. I try to study all sides, to understand all sides, but that doesn't mean I agree with all sides. Right. Don't really agree with any of these sides right now. I do agree that Iran was bombed wrongly, and I think it was bombed in a collusion between Israel and our government to bring in, to bring in their vision of the end times, and for greed, because it's the patriarchy. They also want the oil, all those kind of things, They want more power, more greed, more hegemony. I agree, totally. And I think that's what's happening here. The West Bank, just right now, the Israeli far-right extreme. I always emphasize that this is the far-right extreme, are literally kind of burning homes and torturing people to spread in the West Bank. And don't ask me what they're doing in Lebanon, And our fascist regime is also kind of doing it. This is not for me about America is right. I live in America, so I would like America to survive, for sure. I would like it to survive, but in a better form. Anyway, I'm kind of done with people like you. And if you comment on this, on things like that, and if you comment on my stuff, and you are kind of obviously not even listen to the whole thing. You've the one made assumptions everywhere. If you have a genuine debate about something I have to say and can do it politely and reasonable, great. But this, accusing me of being unfair, entitled, and uncultured when you totally babbled about what I said, I just hearkened it to this end of the age, which we're at, end of the Kali Yuga, whatever you want to call it. And we've kind of literally reached the end of this cycle, the greater cycle, which is 26,000 years-ish. And all those three Abrahamic religions that were formed in the last quarter of the cycle are converging. Doesn't mean I'm saying who's right. Let's do away with them all, the religions. Because the Iranian regime is it's a very cultured area of the world, Persia, for a long time. They're very smart. I think they've responded really quite smartly, actually, to what we're doing. But the regime itself is brutal. So was the Shah before. And a lot of that was caused by the West. coming in. Know your history, know the history going way back. There are no right winners in this. The losers in all of this, all of it, are the common people in the whole world. Okay. So there's my rant, and now you know what I really think about all of this. Well, some of it anyway. I could go on, but I'm not going to. I had to get it out of my system. I called it end times because we're at the end of this astrological cycle. And all the writing, all the Abrahamic religions, monotheistic religions, which are patriarchal and hierarchical, came into being in this descending quarter. So let's do away with them all. Bye.